Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review. Now for this one, as is promised, we're going to revisit one of the Danish gypsy breweries. So today I have for you the Thistle Frostbite, which is a winter seasonal ale. I think it's only brewed once, this one though, so the seasonal ale really just refers to the style of this one. But a shout out to the guys again at Thistle News in Aberdeen at the top of Holborn Street. This is where I got this beer. The Facebook link to that page is in the description if you're watching in my local area. But as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery itself. But if you are simply just interested in the tasting, then feel free to fast forward towards the last couple of minutes of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, the Thistle brewery goes back to 2005 when Tobias Emil Jensen and Tori Gainter were talking to their university teacher Mikael Borg Bjergso, who you'll obviously recognise as the big boss at Mikkeller. He used to be a school teacher. But saying that they said that it was a shame that most Danish breweries had focused on how to make their beers over the last 100 years rather than simply focusing on the taste and the content of the ingredients of the beers. But the three of them agreed that the only way to make quality beers was to do it themselves, and so they did this, and the university allowed them to brew it in the school's kitchen overnight. However, this meant that they were restricted to brewing between the hours of 10 PM and 6 AM on weekdays, which they say resulted in some very, very hard school days for both them and their teacher. However, this was where Tobias and Tori's hunt for quality beer without compromise began. Now later Mikkel went on to found the brewery Mikkeller, obviously, which has obviously become very, very popular in the last few years with a lot of international recognition and things like that. But Tobias and Tori continued to craft brew until 2010 when they founded the Thistle brewery. Now Thistle in Danish simply means two beers, and I think this is basically just to symbolise the fact that there was two of them in this company. But they made their first commercial brew, and when Mikkel heard that his old students were commercially brewing, he insisted that they make a collaboration beer together, and this was what became the first Thistle beer, and it was known as 2PA or IIPA. I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to say it, but it was a double IPA anyway. But since this point, they've continued to brew beers that push the boundaries, and they insist on using the best possible raw materials, never compromising on the taste. Again, this is a very, very experimental craft brewery. But despite their short existence so far, the brewery's received very, very high acclaim and a lot of attention in the craft beer world for this non-compromising brew style that they're very proud of. And they now export to over 30 different countries, and this encompasses Europe, North America, South America, the Far East, Australia, and I believe New Zealand as well. But as is the case with Mikkeller, they're a gypsy brewery, and so they don't own their own equipment, and they use the spare capacity of other large breweries. But they believe that this ensures the best possible quality for their beers and gives them the widest variety of flavours that they can produce, but it leaves them a lot of room for experimentation as well and collaboration with other brewers, which they consider to be a very, very important aspect of their company. But their company vision is basically that they want to produce the best beers in the world and they won't compromise for anyone or anything. So great things have happened at this brewery in the last couple of years, but there's more great things to be expected from them, I'm sure. But as I said, they don't have a home base as such, but they're not in Nørrebro in Copenhagen. They have a collaborative beer bar with Mikkeller, which is called Mikkeller and Friends. And interestingly, this beer has an exclusive bottle shop and boasts over 40 different tap beers. But interestingly as well, they also serve Three Floyds beer on draft, and this is due to a special collaboration that Thistle did with Three Floyds. And this makes it one of the few places outside of the US where you can get this beer on tap. But anyway, let's have a little look at the bottle and cap on this beer as is usual. Just bring up the camera to make sure you're seeing that. This is a 6% winter ale, I believe. But I actually looked up on the Thistle website to have a little look and see if I could get some more information about this beer, but I couldn't find it. But as you can see anyway, the label's doing the usual winter colours there. You can see the Thistle symbol on there. They've changed it recently actually just to take away the sort of stencil marks out of this. I believe that's a very, very recent development. But anyway, this one doesn't actually have a tagline unless it's this on the back, and it says, "Let Xmas begin. We present a crisp winter ale brewed with orange peel and pine needles for the holidays." So I'm guessing this is a one-off winter brew, as is usual with a lot of Thistle's beers, a one-off brew. But it looks really, really nice, this one, and I've heard good things. When I bought it from Thistle News, they said it was very, very good. But let's get on with the tasting of this one. As I say, it's a 6% winter style ale, so let's get this guy out and get him poured. Okay, you can see a lot of sort of steam or whatever coming off this one. You can smell the nose on this as it's being poured out. This is going to have a nice bit of head on it, this one. I'm not even going to need to swirl this. Let's just get this guy out. I think that's it. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, it's a really nice sort of goldeny amber colour, this one. It's quite a dark orange colour actually. As you can see, there's maybe between 1 and 2 fingers of head on it. It's quite a foamy head, some bigger bubbles in there as well. There is just a little bit of carbonation visible in this one, but it's quite hazy. I think that hides a lot of the carbonation. There does actually appear to be quite a bit coming up to the bottom of the head there. But in terms of the aroma, it's very citrusy and piney, as you would expect from the style. But yeah, it's very malty, caramel malts, a lot of orange citrus and piney notes in there. There is a hint of grapefruit as well, but yeah, there's a lot of piney needles and resiny notes in there as well. Maybe just a little hint of grassiness and floral elements to it, but I think mainly woody and piney with that citrus in there as well. The grapefruit's kind of in the background once you get beyond the citrus though. Really nice smelling beer actually. I quite like this style. It smells like an American APA, but it's supposed to be a winter ale, this one I'm sure, but it does smell like an APA. It has that sort of note to it. It smells quite similar to the Odell one that I did yesterday actually, but let's get on with the taste of this one. Well, when you first take it in, there's a lot of hoppy bitterness in there. Yeah, the hoppy bitterness on this when you're taking it in is very strong, and then it becomes a bit more of a wet mouthfeel on it. But yeah, the pine and the citrusy notes are coming out. The pine sort of stays with it at the start, goes down, and it's coming back just towards the aftertaste. But yeah, the citrus is there on the start, but I'm mainly getting the pininess and the woodiness out of this one. But the citrus is definitely there. It does have a really nice mouthfeel to this one. It's sort of light to mid body. There's a creamy element to it as well. As I say, it's it is light to mid bodies, and it has a creamy element to it as well, and it's quite crisp. The carbonation in it is quite lively, and the bitterness gives it a little bit of dryness. It's quite a sort of very well balanced beer, both in the mouth and in the flavour. I'm just trying to pick out a bit more exactly what's in the flavour. But yeah, you're taking this in. As I say, there's a lot of hoppy bitterness to it. The pine and citrus is there first, and the pine comes back for the aftertaste. As I say, you take it in and it's quite active, and then it drops to that sort of kind of wet, creamy, smooth feel, and then the pininess comes back. The citrus is sort of in there. The citrus, as I say, it's kind of orangey, as you would expect from what it said on the bottle. There's not really a hint of lemon, it's mainly an orangey citrus. There is just a little bit of grapefruit in there. But yeah, it's a really nice beer. I highly recommend you try it if you get the chance. As I say, I think this is only a one-off brew, this one, but it's really nice. I'm just trying to pick out if I can pick up the caramel and stuff in this one. Because I thought there was some in the smell of that, but I would say yeah, there is a little bit of caramel, and I'm picking it up more on the aftertaste and in the middle a little bit. This must be where the malts are coming out. It's quite typical for the style actually for the malts to become a bit more prevalent in the middle, and you get the hoppiness to start with. But I think the caramel kind of is present there in the middle of the beer. Yeah, as I said with the flavour, it's the piney and citrus elements that come first with the grapefruit in the background. The sort of caramel I think is coming in the middle, and then you're getting the piney woody elements in the aftertaste again, just with a little bit of citrus there. But anyway, I hope this beer review has been informative for you. I'm going to go away and enjoy the rest of this now. I think tomorrow I'm going to do one of the Mikkeller beers, which I've had sitting around for a little while. I need to get through my kind of stockpile of Mikkellers that's been building up. But anyway, thanks again for watching my beer reviews. As I say, I hope it's been informative for you. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Let me know in the comment section what you think of this beer yourself if you've had it. It's always good to hear that. But as usual, like, share, subscribe, all the usual YouTube things. You've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow. Thanks for your support, and I'll be back soon. Cheers.